Welcome back to the Heal and Restore podcast with your hosts, me, Randy, of course. That's likely never going to change. And of course, the most beautiful and wonderful and talented Mrs. Cathy.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody.
Yeah. I finally got to put a podcast together today.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You usually take care of it, but I dove into it this morning.
Right. And there's a reason.
There's a reason for it.
Yes, no, it's a good one. It's good.
It's a good one. So remember that our heart is to help individuals and couples grow stronger through healing, honest conversations, and meaningful connection. Each week we talk about real life topics like communication.
Hello.
Forgiveness. That's a hard one.
Yep.
All right. Intimacy, and we're talking about emotional intimacy, not physical intimacy. Mm-hmm. Without emotional intimacy, the physical intimacy
doesn't come. Yeah.
Right? Family and emotional health, because healthy relationships begin with healed hearts. Thanks for tuning in as we take another step toward restoring what matters most.
Yeah, and that's our relationships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Whether it's whether it's a marriage, a long-term intimate relationship,
your
employees,
family
your family dynamics.
Yeah.
We're talking about all types of relationships.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So this week our topic will be the marriage mirror. Very interesting. How relationships reveal hidden wounds.
Yeah.
And man, we have discovered ourselves and through our coaching that this is when those wounds become very real in one's life. So
yeah, absolutely.
Because this is such an important topic, we decided to make this a two-part podcast.
Yeah.
As we discuss the value and depth of this conversation, we want to give you, our listeners, time to take it in, reflect, and process what we are sharing.
Yeah.
We'll continue next week with part 2.
Yeah. Now, there's quite a bit to take in on this one, so it's really important that we kind of break it down.
Yeah, and it's a real important podcast because it's going to hopefully give you a lot of insight as to why some shifts in your partner or your spouse have happened during a long-term relationship.
Yeah, no.
With that being said, we're going to kick off this two-part podcast and talk about a powerful and sometimes uncomfortable truth. You know, it's funny, the truth is always uncomfortable for a lot of people.
Yeah, it really is.
So marriage often becomes a mirror.
Yeah.
Not a mirror that exists to shame us, not a mirror that exists to expose us in a cruel way, but a mirror that reveals what is still hurting inside of us. So today's episode is called The Marriage Mirror, How Relationships Reveal Hidden Wounds.
Okay.
It's going to be a good one today.
Here we go. You know, like you said earlier, we've discovered this not only in ourselves, but within others. And so because this is such an important topic, a lot of couples, including ourselves, think that our biggest problem is communication, conflict, intimacy, maybe it's money, parenting, or just personality differences. Right. And all of those are so important. And they can create a lot of tension in a marriage, for sure. But many times it's really what is happening below the surface. And it's much deeper.
It's much deeper.
Much deeper than we even understand sometimes. Right. So unfortunately, marriage has a way of touching places in us that we could not even realize were wounded. No. Could not, did not, will not. Sometimes we don't even want to go there.
Don't even want to go there, but we have to go there.
Yeah.
Right? So, that is so true. Sometimes what feels like a marriage problem is actually an old wound being awakened inside the marriage. Right? A spouse says something, does something, forgets something, pulls away, raises their voice, shuts down, gets defensive, criticizes, disappoints us, or simply does not respond the way we hoped it would. And that was one of my problems a lot of times.
Yeah.
Right? And suddenly something much deeper gets stirred up.
Yeah, stirring the pot here.
Stirring the pot, right? And before we know it, we are not just reacting to what happened in that moment. We are reacting from years of unhealed pain.
Yeah.
Remember that triggers are just what?
Wounds that haven't been healed.
That's right.
Yeah. And we're going to talk about those triggers are going to come up in this conversation too. So, that's why this conversation today really matters so much. Because once we begin to understand that marriage can reveal hidden wounds, we can stop only asking these crazy questions that come to mind. Like, what is wrong with my spouse? Or why is this happening? What is wrong with us? And we'll be able to ask a better question. And that question might be something like, what is this moment revealing that needs healing? And I love that. What is this moment revealing that needs healing? We've got to be awakened to ask those curious questions.
What is the moment revealing that needs healing? That's it's actually a vital question that we need to ask ourselves.
Yeah. We need to ask questions that reveal what's going on within versus what's external.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's easy to point the finger at somebody else, right?
Yeah.
So let's start with this idea of marriage as a mirror.
Okay.
All right. A mirror does not create what it reflects. It simply shows us what is already there.
True. That's true.
Right? Very much true. In the same way, marriage does not always create our deepest fears, insecurities, shame, or defenses. Many times, marriage simply reveals them.
Hello.
It just simply reveals them. It doesn't create them, right?
Yeah, they're exposed.
For example, if someone grew up feeling ignored, dismissed, or emotionally unseen, they may enter marriage with a deep longing to finally be noticed, valued, and chosen above all else.
Yeah, that's good.
So when their spouse is distracted, tired, quiet, busy, or emotionally unavailable, they may feel much bigger than that one moment.
That's good.
It may feel like rejection.
Yeah.
It may feel like abandonment. It may feel like, here we go again, I do not matter.
Oh, that here we go again is something that I cycled through for quite a while.
Right.
Yeah. So, and from the outside, your spouse, your partner, they might be thinking, oh, I was just tired, or I was just checking my phone, or I didn't mean anything by it. Those all seem to be answers, comments that we've all circled around. But inside the wounded spouse, something deeper has been touched.
Yes.
And this is what hidden wounds do. They turn present moments into emotional echoes of our past. Yeah.
And something I want to say is that, we often enter into marriage with none of this happening in our marriages.
Correct.
Right? Everything's honky-dory, so we kind of head scratch as we go into this, right? That is such a powerful way to say it.
Yeah.
Right? That they turn present moments into emotional echoes of the past. It's a powerful way to say it. Present moments can become those emotional echoes. Often they do. I mean, they did for me a lot.
Yeah. Right? And they repeat themselves.
They repeat themselves
it's a
over
cycle.
and over. Yes, absolutely. And this is where couples often get stuck when spouse says, "Why are you overreacting?" What the other says, "Why do you not care?"
Yeah.
What's the big deal? What's going on here? Well, I'm not overreacting. You just act like you don't care.
Right.
Of course I'm going to overreact. But many times, neither person is seeing the deeper story.
Yeah.
One person is reacting to the moment. The other is reacting to the wound behind the moment.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, we've been there. So.
Yeah. And, it really doesn't mean that every response is justified. It doesn't mean that we get to hurt each other because we're hurt from the past.
Right.
We can't, it's not like I'm going to do this because you did this. But it means that compassion will grow when we understand what's underneath the reaction.
Yes.
And so marriage becomes healthier when both people can slow down and say, this reaction may be bigger than the moment. What is really going on inside me? And there it is. It's that internal view, not an external view.
So it's learning how to slow down enough to self-reflect. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. What's going on inside me?
Yeah,
look within.
Yeah, why is this is not a big deal? Why am I getting so upset about it?
Yeah, so true.
So why does marriage reveal so much?
I don't know.
Good question. Because marriage is one of the closest human relationships we will ever experience.
That's valuable.
And that's very valuable, and it's the truth, right?
Yeah.
It involves love, trust, vulnerability, emotional safety, physical intimacy, spiritual connection, shared responsibilities, family history, finances, parenting, dreams, disappointments, and just everyday life.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the people it's the person, your person that you're going to do all of those things
All
with.
those things with. So there are very few places to hide in a marriage.
Ooh, that's true. Unless you hide yourself in a closet and never come out.
Well, yeah.
I mean,
or in a dark dungeon somewhere and
right.
don't exist in the world at all.
Yeah,
right?
no, those things are all so true. And you know, when we think about it, dating can reveal some of these things.
Yeah.
And friendships can reveal some of these things.
Yeah.
Your work relationships might reveal some of these things. But your marriage often reveals what we learned about love,
Yes.
conflict, safety, closeness, trust, forgiveness, vulnerability, and self-worth. Yeah, self-worth.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's really powerful.
And you know, a lot of us, we enter into a marriage believing that they're simply choosing a spouse. So I'm going to pick you, you're going to pick me. But they're also bringing in everything they learned about the relationship long before they met their spouse.
That's right.
These are our experiences, our childhood experiences that we bring in.
You know, in the first statement you said there, that dating can reveal some things, right? But oftentimes we ignore those red flags.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're so much enamored and in love and goo la la land when we first get in a relationship. So that includes what they learned in childhood. Yeah. Remember, everything is learned behavior.
Yeah.
If love was conditional, they may fear disappointing their spouse. If conflict was dangerous, they may shut down during disagreements.
In there.
Yes. If emotions were punished, they may struggle to express their feelings. Oh, man. And when they finally do express them, they come out like a volcano.
Yeah. Go sideways.
Go sideways, man. If they were abandoned, they may fear distance. Mm-hmm. If they were criticized, they may hear correction as rejection.
I can say I've experienced that.
Yeah. And I definitely experienced a lot of that. If they were abused, they may confuse control with safety or silence with peace.
That's also good. Those are really good points.
All right.
You know, and sometimes people aren't aware of these patterns until marriage brings them to the surface.
And that's usually when they come up.
Yeah. It's not things that we go around thinking all along, but when we get in that close dynamic of a relationship, they're gonna surface.
Absolutely.
And so some things that we might think is, I don't know why you get so angry. Or I don't know why I get so angry. I don't know why I shut down. I didn't know why I shut it down for a long time.
No.
You know, I don't know why I feel so rejected. I don't know why I can't ask for help when I need it. I don't know why I always feel like I'm failing or I'm not good enough. I don't know why I'm afraid to be fully known, like to expose myself and let people in. But there's usually a story beneath all those struggles.
You know, man, those are all very powerful statements and very true statements. And I lived every one of them for 38 years, you know. And we have to do a lot of self-reflecting.
The beauty in all this is that there's healing possible through it all.
Healing is, matter of fact, I'm just going to do a plug, my new book I'm writing right now, Understanding the Long-Term Effects. I'm talking about this exact process right now. You know, how do we begin to heal? Yeah. It's just going to be real simple. It's a couple of simple steps, but healing is possible. Yeah. And that is one of the biggest messages we want couples to hear today. Mm-hmm. Your reactions have a history. And that history plays into all of this.
Yeah, so much so.
That does not excuse hurtful behavior, but it helps explain why certain moments carry so much emotional weight. And it comes down to that fact that once you know this, there's no more excuse for your behavior.
Right.
You need to figure it out, and then you need to start doing stuff differently.
Right, yeah. So I'm going to dive in a little bit and talk about some of the common hidden wounds that marriage can reveal, does reveal, has revealed. And so the first one that we're going to talk about, that wound is the wound of rejection.
That's a tough one.
Yes, and that wound of rejection often shows up when one spouse feels unwanted. Maybe they feel like they've been dismissed, they're criticized, or emotionally pushed away.
Yep.
And the rejection, that rejection wound is going to show up, and it's going to sound something like, "You do not really love me," or it might sound like, "I'm not important to you," or "You're going to leave." I mean, that's something that's very common. You're going to leave. Or it might sound like, "I'm too much," or "I'm not enough." Those are rejection wounds that are speaking there.
And I'm telling you, this shows up in more marriages than I think I care to even realize myself, right?
Yeah.
I mean, these are some powerful rejections, statements that we've heard, that we've lived, so we have to be aware of them.
Yeah, that's your rejection wound speaking right there.
And this is the wound that can show up in different ways, all different ways. Yeah. Some people pursue harder, right? They ask more questions, demand reassurance, or become emotionally intense.
Yeah.
Others pull away first. They protect themselves by acting like it's no big deal. I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
Who are you thinking? That was a contractor. I got no feelings. That was one of my famous statements, right? Yeah. But both responses may be coming from the same fear. I do not want to be rejected again. That can be in our relationships, that can be in business, it can be in a multitude of areas of our life.
Right. Yeah, no, that's so true. And then there's another common wound that we hear and see a lot, and that's the wound of abandonment. This can come from a parent leaving. And leaving, it could be through divorce, or it could be through a death, a loss.
Or through foster care for not being right.
Yep. There's emotional neglect that can fall under that wound. Addiction in a home can fall under an abandonment wound. If there's been some inconsistent caretaking, or just simply growing up feeling like you're all alone, that's an abandonment wound. And in marriage, the abandonment wound may get triggered when a spouse travels for work, or they work long hours. Maybe they've emotionally withdrawn, or they go silent during a conflict and they just shut down, or they just seem to disconnect altogether.
And I know growing up for myself, I literally felt all alone. I felt like I had nobody at all that I could ever confide in or talk to.
Yeah, no, that's so true.
It's a terrible feeling to have, living in an unsafe house and having nobody that I can talk to. It's a terrible, terrible feeling to have. And again, the spouse may not be abandoning them in the present moment.
Yeah, that's true.
And that's the truth of the matter. But the nervous system remembers that what abandonment felt like. And it's a powerful feeling, right? So the body reacts before the mind can reason. We have to remember the body knows. The body knows everything, right? And we have to grasp that with everything that we can. That if the body's telling us something, we've got to address it, right? That is why someone may panic, get angry, become clingy, or emotionally shut down. I think my big thing was getting angry. Huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. They are not simply responding to a schedule change.
Yeah.
Right? They are responding to an old fear that says, "I'm going to be left alone again."
Yep.
I know this feeling, and it's not fun.
Yeah, you're familiar with it.
I'm very, exactly.
Yeah. So there's another hidden wound that marriage will sometimes reveal, and that's shame.
Oh.
Yeah, shame is not just I did something wrong. Shame says something is wrong with me.
Yes.
And shame is it's super powerful in marriage, because marriage requires vulnerability.
Yes.
And so when a spouse gives feedback, maybe they're expressing disappointment, or they ask for change, shame can hear it. And it might hear it in the mind of saying, I am a failure. I am bad. Oh, I'm unlovable. I can never get it right. And I am the problem. Man, so those are things that shame speaks.
That was so ingrained in me for so many years.
Yeah.
Thank
those
God
are
for
your shame wounds right there.
Oh, man, they're bad too.
Yeah.
When shame gets triggered, people often defend, attack, blame, shut down, or withdraw.
That sounds familiar too.
Well, for me, it was
The defend,
defend, attack, and blame.
yeah.
Right, those were my three big things.
Yeah,
Not
definitely.
my fault. Right? Not because they do not care, but because shame feels unbearable. And I'm sure there's people out there that have felt what shame feels like, and they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Right? That is why some conflicts escalate so quickly. The conversation may start with something simple like dishes, finances, sex, parenting, or tone of voice. But underneath someone's shame, wound gets touched. The dishes is something that a lot of people, they're not loading the dishwasher properly according to their spouse.
Into a whole nother avenue.
I mean, it's like, I mean, but so, you know, that's the truth. That's where the conflicts come in, right? Which is pretty silly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, suddenly the issue is no longer the issue.
Right.
Sorry, I had to bring that up. I mean, it's true. The wound has taken over the conversation.
Yeah. You know, and there's another wound. This wound we talk about quite often. It's happened to both of us individually. It happens in a lot of our coaching sessions, and that wound is the loss of voice.
Yes.
And like we say, it's not like you have laryngitis, lost your voice. No. You know, some people grew up in homes where they weren't allowed to speak honestly and openly.
No.
You know, maybe they were told to be quiet. Maybe their feelings were dismissed. Maybe disagreements were punished. They didn't agree, they were punished for it. And sometimes maybe their needs, they were just called selfish. So in a marriage, that loss of voice struggle might sound like, that hurt me. I need help. I disagree. These are things that we're struggling to say. We can't say these things. We can't say I feel lonely. We can't say I'm scared. We can't say I need something different.
No.
Because our voice has been shut down. Our voice has been stifled. And so we can't say the things that we want to say.
And again, it's amazing how all this falls in place. And I really didn't plan it, but there's a whole section of my new book coming out that talks about why we lose our voice. Right?
Yeah.
And when a person loses their voice, resentment often builds. Because what is not spoken does not disappear.
It's still there.
It's still there. It ain't going nowhere. You just kind of buried somewhere in the darkness of your body, right?
Yeah.
It often leaks out through irritation, distance, sarcasm. Oh, this is a bad one. Passive aggressive behavior, or emotional shutdown, or quiet bitterness. This is why learning to speak the truth and love is so very vital and important.
Yeah.
And it takes a while to learn. Not truth as a weapon, not truth as a criticism, but truth as an invitation into deeper connection. That is so important.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And there's so many wounds to be talking about here. And here's another one that, that comes up is that fear of not being enough. That's a wound that a lot of us
I still
carry.
deal with that.
Yeah, no.
20 years into my journey.
Yeah. It might come from things like comparison. Maybe it's criticism. Perfectionism. There's childhood pressure that can create that not being enough wound. There might be some emotional neglect or just never feeling truly celebrated, valued, and part of. And then when we talk about this in a marriage, the wound may show up as an overworking, people-pleasing. Maybe it's constantly apologizing or avoiding difficult conversations. That was me quite often. And maybe we need approval, or we're feeling threatened by a spouse's disappointment. We don't want to hurt them. We don't want to be disappointed. We don't want to disappoint them.
That avoiding difficult conversations is a direct result of not being able to use your voice when you were a child. A very much direct result.
And then it goes into not being enough because you can't use your voice.
You can't use your voice.
So you've got a wound on top of a wound there.
It gets really messy.
Yeah.
And for some, it shows up as control. Because if I can control everything, maybe I will not fail.
Perfectionism.
I'm going to say one thing. I do not believe in that word fail.
Yeah.
The only time a person is going to fail is if they do nothing.
Right.
But if you do something and it doesn't meet your expectation or it didn't come out the way you wanted it, it's a learning experience,
Right.
not a failure.
Right.
I
No,
gotta
that's so
say
true.
that. I
Yeah.
gotta say that. If I can keep everyone happy, maybe I will not be rejected. That's an awful tall order.
Yeah.
I mean, that's impossible, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I can avoid conflict, maybe I will not be abandoned. If I can perform perfectly, maybe I will finally feel love.
I'm already tired listening to this.
And yeah, this is all exhausting, but that's exactly what a lot of kids feel
Right.
with their parents. Maybe if I was this, maybe if I did that, I'd be better. Maybe my parents wouldn't be so mean to me. Maybe my parents wouldn't have got a divorce, right?
Yeah.
And marriage was never meant to be built on performance. Marriage is meant to be built on love, unconditional love, not conditional love.
Mm-hmm.
Absolute 100% unconditional love, truth, safety, grace, and connection.
Yeah, so good. So one of the things that as couples that we need to understand is that the past often enters through the present triggers.
Yep.
Through our present
Absolutely.
triggers.
Absolutely.
And so, as we talked about before, is, a trigger is not simply being bothered by something. It's a trigger is when a present moment activates an old emotional wound. It's that wound that hasn't been healed.
Right.
And so when your body says, I've been here before, even if your mind knows the situation is different, you still feel it. That triggers there because you recognize the feeling within the body.
Right. And but recognizing is the first step in being able to heal it, right?
Right.
That is why triggers can feel so intense.
Yeah.
Your spouse says, we need to talk, and your stomach drops, right?
It still can be that way.
So we try to use, we don't try, we work on using different language,
Yeah.
right? So your spouse gets quiet and you feel abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
Cathy and I, at oftentimes in the evening time, we sit on the couch together, but we've been married for almost 43 years, so there's a lot of silence between us, but there's a lot of love on that couch too.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So we've learned that silence is not a bad thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Work. We've had a lot of work to do.
We had a lot of work, yeah.
Yeah.
Your spouse gives feedback and you feel ashamed.
That's hard sometimes. It still feels like conflict.
Yeah,
it can still feel like conflict.
It can still feel like conflict, and again, there's a way to relay that feedback.
Yeah.
This won't be so shaming.
Yeah.
Right? Your spouse walks away during conflict and you feel rejected.
That's hard, yeah.
And your spouse raises their voice and your body goes into survival mode. Right? Your spouse gives feedback and you feel ashamed. There's a way that can squelch that pretty easily. Ask if it's okay to give feedback.
Yeah.
Right?
Ask if they want input.
Ask if they want input or feedback.
Yeah.
In those moments, you may not be responding as the adult you are today. You may be responding from the wounded place inside of you that never felt safe, seen, protected, or valued. And now as an adult, you're going to make sure you're seen.
Well, yeah, because what you're doing is you're responding like that little child.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's good. So this is why we often say healing requires slowing down. We said that at the very beginning. We've got to slow down because when couples don't slow down, they end up reacting from pain instead of responding from love. And once both people are reacting from pain, the cycle takes over and it goes on and on and on. One pursues, one withdraws. One criticizes, one defends. One gets louder, one shuts down. One demands connection, another one's avoiding it. One feels rejected, one feels controlled. But both feel alone in that cycle.
Yes, very
both
much
feel alone.
That is the painful part. Many people, or many couples, are not trying to hurt each other at all. They're trying to protect themselves, right? But when protection becomes the pattern, connection becomes the casualty. Let me say that again. When protection becomes the pattern, connection becomes the casualty.
That's so good. So good, so important. Because, let me just say this. Because many behaviors that damage marriage, they began as survival strategies. They weren't intended to be part of the marriage. They just were survival strategies.
Right, exactly, yes.
You know, shutting down, it may have once protected you.
Mm-hmm.
Not working very well these days.
No.
You know, people pleasing, maybe it kept the peace at one time. And, you know, anger may have helped you feel powerful and empowered you, but it's not helpful now.
No.
Control may have once led life to feel much safer than it is now. Avoidance may have helped you escape the pain. And then that perfectionism in you may have once helped you gain approval. But what helped you survive in childhood may hurt connection in adulthood today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Not may, usually it does hurt connection in adulthood, right? And that does not mean we shame ourselves for those patterns.
No.
It means we gently recognize them and begin healing them. We can say, this helped me survive then, but it's hurting my marriage now.
Yeah.
That is not condemnation, that is awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And awareness is the beginning of change.
Yeah, I love that, because I always say you can't change what you're not aware of. So once we become aware of it, now we have a choice to change.
Exactly.
We have a choice to change. But one of the biggest dangers couples face is blaming the marriage for the wounds that existed before the marriage. I think that's easy to do because when we're in the marriage, we're not thinking about our old wounds.
No.
So we're thinking it's the marriage that's causing these wounds.
Right.
But let me be clear. Sometimes real harm happens inside the marriage. That does happen. Betrayal, maybe there's been abuse, there's neglect, maybe there's been dishonesty, addiction, emotional cruelty, and destructive patterns. Those all have to be taken seriously.
Yep.
So we're not saying that every wound came from childhood or the past. Some of them do come within the marriage, but we can't blame all the wounds for that. But we have to be aware of what are old wounds and what are new wounds in the marriage.
Exactly. That is right. If there is abuse, coercion, intimidation, ongoing betrayal, or emotional destruction in the relationship, safety matters first.
Yeah.
Healing does not mean pretending harm is not happening.
Yep.
Right?
No, we gotta be honest with yourself.
100% honest with yourself. You gotta look yourself in the mirror and do a lot of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Healing does not mean pretending harm is not happening. But in many marriages, couples are dealing with two wounded people who love each other but keep triggering each other.
Yeah.
And that happens in so many marriages, right? And they don't get it. And insist instead of recognizing the wound, they blame the relationships itself.
Mm-hmm.
They say, we're just incompatible. We cannot communicate. Well, that's pretty much true in a lot of them. We always fight. The word always has got to be removed from your vocabulary. You are the problem. Oh my God. I married the wrong person. This will never change.
Yeah. That's exhaustion speaking right there. Those are tired wounds right there.
Yeah, exactly.
But we have to remember this too. Sometimes the marriage is not the enemy. Sometimes the marriage is just revealing the places that still need healing.
Yep.
It's like the wounds, you know? And that changes how we approach the struggle. So instead of saying, you are my problem, we begin saying, something painful is happening between us. And we need to understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much
That's
that just sounds so, like, I'm drawn to that. Something painful is happening between us. And we need to understand it. That draws me into wanting it. You know, and another thing, instead of saying, why are you like this? We might ask ourselves, what happened that made us feel so threatening? Or what happened that made this feel so threatening?
Right.
You know, instead of saying, you always overreact, we ask, what did this moment touch inside of you? All of those things draw you into having an understanding versus it's internal. It's an internal look versus an external expression.
Those are powerful questions, right? And that does not mean we avoid accountability.
No, I gotta do that.
Accountability is still necessary. We can say, I understand it's such an old wound, and I am still responsible for how I responded.
Right.
That is maturity. Healing does not remove responsibility. it deepens it, right?
That's a powerful statement right there. Healing does not remove responsibility, it deepens it, because I feel more responsible with my healing.
Well, it's like when I was get my fourth and fifth step in AA,
Yeah.
I had to admit the wrong I did to people and make my amends to them without saying, but this, but that, or anything.
Right.
It was my responsibility. I had to take responsibility for the harm that I caused to others. Right?
Yeah.
And that's okay. It doesn't make me a bad person.
No,
not at all. I realized, hey, I was hurt. I carried that wound that happened to me as a child. I threw it in your face and I shouldn't have.
Yeah.
Right? Because now I can say, I do not want my unhealed pain to keep hurting the person I love.
That's so good. Ooh.
Remember that. I do not want my unhealed pain to keep hurting the person I love.
That's really good. That's powerful. Just that alone right there seals it.
Yep.
So as we get ready to close today, we want you to remember a few things here. Marriage may reveal those hidden wounds, but revealing it is not the same as destroying. Sometimes what comes to the surface is not there to ruin the relationship. It is there because it's ready to be healed.
Yes.
We always say that God's perfect timing, and sometimes these wounds come out in God's perfect timing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When they come out, when God, people might have a hard time with it, but God's only going to reveal to us at so much at one time, and only when we're ready, and in our relationship, and when Cathy was ready to see it, understand it, and work through it, and to address it. Yeah. He's not going to dump the whole bucket on top of you in one shot. It's going to come out in pieces throughout your life. I mean, we've been on this journey for 20 years. And things are still being revealed, right? I mean, it's okay.
Well, right? almost 43-year marriage, and we've only done not even half of our marriage has been. We've worked on the healing part of it, so there's still more to be healed. More will be revealed. Right. Yeah.
So all this is so important. When something painful shows up in your marriage, try not to immediately say, "This means we're broken." Oh man, I'm not going there because there's another part. Instead, ask, what is this revealing? What shattered pieces of my life, her life, is this revealing?
Yeah.
What is this teaching us? What wound is asking for care?
And not just by a Band-Aid.
Not by a Band-Aid.
There's work to be done.
Remember, we're putting our shattered pieces of our life back together like a fine crystal vase.
Right? That's good.
What pattern are we being invited to change? Right? And how can we respond with grace instead of fear? Yeah. Grace instead of fear.
Yeah. So one thing's for sure is that the mirror can be uncomfortable. There's no question about that. But it also can be merciful, because we cannot heal what we refuse to see. And that's what the mirror is going to show us. And when we are willing to see with humility, compassion, and God's help, the very relationship that revealed the wound can also become a place where healing begins. I love that.
So let us leave you with this truth. Your marriage is by no means hopeless because wounds are showing up. Yeah. Right? Wounds showing up may be an invitation to heal deeper, love wiser, listen better, and grow stronger together. There is hope. Healing is possible. And your story is not over by any means.
Yeah.
As we close out part one of this important conversation, we want to encourage you to take some time this week to reflect on what you heard today. Yeah. Don't rush through it, please. Sit with it. And talk about it. Pray about it. Ask yourself, what may be stirring in your own heart, your marriage, or your healing journey? Because this topic carries so much depth, we don't want to hurry through it. Next week, we'll continue with part two, where we'll go deeper into how this shows up in our relationships and what healing can begin to look like. Thank you for joining us today on the Heal and Restore podcast. We're honored to walk with you honored to walk with you in conversation that bring hope, healing, and restoration. Be sure to come back next week for part 2 of this powerful discussion.
Mm.
Pretty powerful, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Powerful and important.
Yeah, really important. I hope you all take this to heart, because if you can take this to heart and you're struggling in your marriage, I can promise you it'll be a struggle, but your marriage will be better than you ever thought.
Mm-hmm.
So remember this, everybody. If nobody tells you they love you today, Randy does.
Cathy does.
More importantly, God does.
Be blessed, everybody. Have a great week.
Yes.